Okay, and I think we are live. Let me know if we're live here. Thanks all for tuning in. Did something a little different. Not doing a starting soon screen, not doing the whole intro stuff because I want people just to be able to click on this later and just see the start of the show. And if you are clicking on this and you're seeing this show, this is Fun Speculation Podcast. Let's see, we are on episode number 131. And thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you all enjoy the content here. If you do like what we have going on, make sure to hit the like button, share it out, notification bell, and all that cool stuff. And we got a fun show tonight because we got some cool stuff to talk about. We had some Battlefield news today and some other awesome stuff like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 reviews have been dropping and receiving insanely high praise. So it could be kind of one of those early year contenders, for Game of the Year potentially. So we'll see and kind of talk about that. But as always, we're joined by these two gentlemen, and I want to say hello to the one and only Fuzzy Belvedere. Thanks for being here, bro.
Everyone, glad to be here. Man, there's it's going to be a big flood of games just dropping because between Xbox and third party out there, there's a lot to catch up on. Tidbits has got some decent ones in there as well. Man, just been enjoying racing games as of late. I know there's the whole controversy about Forza Horizon. Checked out your stream yesterday. Loved seeing you do the trial
Yeah.
as far as with the Mustangs and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a Tokyo Extreme Racer out there as well. Yeah, it's in early access, PC only at the moment, but hoping they integrate some of that stuff into future Forza Horizon. But you got that, and then you also got GT7, which I'm hearing it's not coming to PC, which bums me out to some extent.
That's
Figuring
weird.
it would have been, yeah, it would have done well on PC as far as from a modding standpoint. Not knocking Forza Motorsport, it's great on PC, but even if you just want to do offline or single player, no mods allowed. It will flag it and like ban your account kind of thing real quick. So even if you just want to do an imported paint scheme instead of using the in-game tools, which I think should be reasonable, nope. But Forza Horizon, oh, not Forza Horizon, GT7 at that point, not on PC. Oh well, they're lost because I would have probably double dipped, but we'll see.
Yeah, man, I would have for sure. It's a game that I would think would shine really well on PC. One of the games I actually enjoyed on the PS5 this generation, but maybe later we'll see. Maybe they'll change their mind at some point. But where did you hear that from, Fuzz? Was it just kind of like a rumor or leak or?
It's like an ongoing rumor, like the same
Okay,
ones that said some of the games were coming to PC way back when, like Returnal, are the ones that originally leaked that it was coming to PC. And I had heard some rumblings like after they did that free demo that maybe that idea had changed, and now that the rumblings of that is bubbling up a bit more, a lot more content creators that focus solely on GT have been saying it looks like it's as good as dead on PC.
yeah.
It's a shame. I hope it's not true, but insiders with PlayStation, I think some Xbox guys have better insider stuff than on PlayStation anyway than the PlayStation insiders. So who knows?
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for being here as always, Fuzz. I appreciate you. And we got the one and only 3-Bit. What's up, 3-Bit?
Hey y'all. Good to be here. I've been playing lots of Yakuza Like a Dragon. Such a funny, good game. I'm really enjoying that so far. They changed the gameplay a little bit where it's more turn-based, so it's like you take your turn. But I'm able it is very story oriented, so there will be times where you can put down the controller and there's like dialogue going on for like 10 minutes. But I like that stuff. So I've been playing that and then a lot of work related things, which I'll eventually be able to talk about. Um, but yeah, fun things. A lot of gaming news that some people already mentioned, like the IGN thing. I've been catching up on the Battlefield stuff. Battlefield looks great. I'm like, you know how like when Call of Duty Black Ops 6 came back, it was like this is a good time to jump back into Call of Duty. I think it's been long enough, and I'm starting to get hyped for like a Battlefield game right now. It's been a long time since I played it. I didn't really like the last iteration as much. Um, I missed like the destruction and stuff that they kind of went for in the previous ones. Like I don't know, but I'm excited to jump back into another Battlefield, and I'm happy to be here and I'm ready to get into some of these topics. It's gonna be a fun show.
Yeah, right on, man. Yeah, you now you mentioned that they did announce an ID at Xbox as well
Oh yeah,
today, right? So, what was weird, and thanks for reminding me in the chat here, Brett. It was just I don't know if this is like a this is a partnered showcase with IGN where like Xbox partners with IGN to produce this show. But what like weirdly on the intro screen for the ID at Xbox logo,
I've seen
they show
it.
a picture, the face of the cartoon across the Spider Verse version of Miles Morales in that, which I want to make something of it, but again, this is a like an indie development show. Number one, right, and number two, it's the movie Miles Morales. But I've just questioned how does Miles Morales face show up on a reveal of ID at Xbox logo for an Xbox show produced by IGN.
My
It's got to be a
yeah
crazy weird mistake, which I wouldn't put it past IGN, or
yeah
it's a hint of something, but I couldn't see that being a hint for something at an ID at Xbox show either. Like, I
yeah,
don't
it's
know.
definitely weird. Like my initial thought, like my brain went through a couple scenarios. So I'm like, oh, what if they're doing something crazy? Then I'm like, wait, it's IGN. IGN has done stupid stuff before. And then I'm like, wait, maybe at this showcase they're trying to show that there's more than just games. Like maybe they're just going to be movie announcements and show announcements, and it is weird when you start to consider that Miles Morales, the movie Spider Verse, is a Sony production. Like it's a Sony movie through and through. Like that's like their thing. So it is weird to see it in like a very Marvel like intro for ID at Xbox. Like it has that sort of like flip comic book pages, but the Xbox logo. It seems like they were kind of going for that sort of thing. Like an ID at Xbox inside the logos, all these different stuff that's gonna pop up. Like ooh, but yeah, I think it's just a tease that maybe there's going to be more than games there. Like there will be some TV show announcements and things like that. That's my guess, but it is freaking weird.
Yeah,
Because that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, what the heck? Why is Miles inside? But yeah, I don't know.
I don't. Do you make anything of this, Fuzzy, or is it you're on mute, bro?
I at first I was like, yeah, that definitely looks like Miles Morales, but then I was like, well, maybe it's the one of the characters they show in Grounded, but I was like,
Yeah, I know that somebody
yeah,
posted
that
the shot of Miles Morales from the movie side by side.
mhm.
It's
Yeah, it's
100% movie Miles
Miles
Morales.
Morales. Yeah, and I don't know. It's got to be a hint of something. But ID at Xbox very rarely does like collaboration type things, like maybe Marvel Rivals, but then that's not an ID at Xbox type of collaboration thing. Um, if there's an indie out there making a Miles Morales game, which I could see as a possibility, because I don't know, does Sony actually own Miles Morales or is it just Spider Man that they own as
They
far as for gaming?
they own the rights to the movies. They don't
Yeah,
own anything for gaming.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
they only have the publishing rights to the Spider-Man game. That was like a special deal just for that. Just like,
yeah.
just like Midnight Suns was for 2K, right?
Mhm.
Like they're In fact, actually, originally Marvel approached Insomniac before they were even owned by Sony, and they agreed to like a publishing deal. But yes, and Sony owns the rights to make movies based on Spider-Man, right?
Okay.
And then they have a special deal with Disney on the side for the MCU stuff, right? But they
Yeah.
don't own anything for gaming. That's why you see Spider-Man appear in tons of different things,
Marvel
right?
Rivals and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
and they
Like
could.
theoretically, they could stop it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of Spider-Man games published by a bunch of different developers in the past too, right? Even before Sony's deal for the movies, so or
Right.
and after, even after that.
Didn't they
So
make a stink on what was the one from Square, the Avengers? Because I think Sony had the
Its
exclusive for
appearance.
Spider-Man in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
they its appearance.
that was a special deal.
Sony
Yeah, like
Sony basically just likes the appearance of, yeah,
it's like the exclusive content that they did for like Hogwarts Legacy, right? Oh, let's
Uh,
do exclusive content for this because they want to establish that Spider-Man is theirs, right? But
mhm.
if you look at Midnight Suns, Spider-Man is in Midnight Suns, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man's been in other games also. So they don't own the rights to Spider-Man except for movie publishing rights. But they do have the deal for that franchise. Just like they don't own Wolverine,
Right.
right? They're making a Wolverine game. They don't own X-Men. They're making an X-Men game, So a
You
lot of
think they
people.
were making an X-Men game, and that
Well,
that
they're
could have
supposed to be.
changed.
Yeah, it's supposed to
yeah.
be. But yeah, a lot of people get it confused because of their deal with the movie side, but it doesn't have anything
Right.
to do with the game side. I would say maybe it makes the relationship stronger between Sony and Marvel and makes them be able to have more conversations. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But overall, when it comes to ability for Spider-Man to be in other things, no. Now, but the weird thing is they do own the rights to this Miles Morales
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
because
the
that's the
weird.
movie one. Right?
Yeah,
So, like, they just
that's
put a
their
yeah,
thing.
that's
Yeah.
theirs. So that I don't know why you'd see the Sony movie Miles Morales in the beginning at a ID at Xbox thing, and it's not like, well, it's just because it's a FanFest. No, because this is the reveal of the ID at Xbox logo,
Mhm.
right? Or that it's shining through on. And the only other thing I would potentially think is a possibility, like just in the realm off the wall guess on something like this, I would have to think what kind of game would involve a movie based Miles Morales that looks like the movie based Miles Morales. It's exactly the same shot, right, of his face. If it is something game related, it would also be made by a smaller studio because it's showing up at something like an ID at Xbox show.
Mhm.
The only thing I could think is I don't remember what happened to the Telltale Studios. I remember
Yeah.
or was it, yeah, Telltale Studios. They ended up
Oh yeah.
leaving. They ended up making other things now under a different name. And I don't remember what happened to them or what their name of that new
They're kind
studio
of
was.
making Wolf Among Us. Like I know the Telltale like broke down as a studio, but it kind of came back, and that studio is now making the new Wolf Among Us 2, which we've seen trailers of and tidbits and stuff over the years. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's coming out this year. If that's coming out this year, that's insane. Um, but it is interesting that Miles Morales the movie was here because again, Sony fully owns that, and it's like this thing where if Sony really or if Marvel really wanted to, they could go to Sony and be like, hey, going forward, like you're gonna be porting the games where we want. No more just Sony exclusive. Like they could do that,
Mhm.
but I don't think they'll maybe do that. I know Brett is mentioning it in the chat. Like just
Yeah.
because of their relationship, it is pretty good, and the reason why don't think they would do that also is because of how Spider-Man is in the movies. Like Marvel is making a deal with Sony to have Spider-Man team up with like Avengers and stuff like that. Like Sony has to make deals with Marvel for that. I mean, Sony makes a bunch of terrible Spider-Man movies and a bunch of terrible movies in general. But when he's teamed up with like within the MCU and stuff, people tend to really gravitate towards that character. So Uh, Marvel wants to maintain a good relationship with Sony so that they can keep using Spider-Man in the movies. So in that relationship, that kind of helps out the games and those exclusive moments in the console, but they don't own anything with the console versions or game rights to Spider-Man. But they do a good job at appearances of making it seem like they do, for sure.
Yeah.
The Telltale aspect or angle makes sense because they would, like you said, it would look like the movie. That would just be wild that it's at ID at Xbox as opposed to the state of
Yeah.
play. Um,
None of it makes
oh,
sense to me, man. I think honestly, I think it's just a weird screw up by IGN because they do stupid shit all the time. I
yeah,
don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, but like they would have at this point. I think they would come out and say something that you know, one with the leak, although um, Sarah Bond made mention of it, on the 24th. So it's not like they can pull that back out of the air type of deal. But yeah, I mean, unless this is part of the trade program with Forza Horizon, but even that, like, I don't know. I'm curious to see, but hey, if it's IGN that did this and it's like out of Tina Amini's hands kind of thing, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of questions. And there's going to be a lot of rocks being thrown at IGN at this point, unless it is like a Telltale sign or a Telltale game. Which, yeah, maybe Jason Schreier was right about the multi-platform being sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just weird to see. I saw people say that, and I was like, what? And so I actually saw it. And then I saw people saying, well, it maybe it's because IGN FanFest includes a lot of different things, and they included their
Yeah, like
imaging on the ID at Xbox logo, which is very possible, but that would be a very
Yeah.
dumb mistake to make from IGN, which is very possible as well, giving
Yeah,
their
but
track record.
IGN's explanation would be like, "Well, of course Spider-Man's associated with PlayStation. It's just it's
Yeah,
B-roll."
it's like Sony's PlayStation on the ID at Xbox logo. It's just strange. Like how could somebody if it is a mistake or if it's just part of their thing, oh yeah, like we don't need to explain this. It's just
yeah,
it is what it
Spider-Man's
is.
an Xbox now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
makes sense.
who cares about this? It's just part of our coverage because we're talking about. I mean, and I could understand if they were talking about like why would they even be talking about that movie to begin with at FanFest?
Yeah.
True. Unless we see a Spider-Verse 3 trailer here, which could be
It wouldn't
freaking
be an
awesome.
idea at Xbox,
I mean,
but like
probably
if it
not.
is at IGN FanFest and there's some kind of like Spider-Man like across the Spider-Verse type 3 movie and they
Yeah,
put that on the ID at Xbox
that would be
promo
freaking
thing,
crazy.
then you're talking about
Hey,
like, hey, somebody. If I was somebody at Xbox, I'd be like, okay, like I get you're using your imaging for your fan fest, and you just kind of threw it on our logo for ID at Xbox, but could you not put Miles Morales there because it's just as confusing to fans, and pretty stupid. So we'll
what did
see.
they
I don't
say
know.
to Jasper about the conspiracy theories?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
It's
was
IGN. They People don't want to call them out on it, or at least on Team Blue side of things, or even Team Red for that matter. But they are the worst. Like they are probably responsible for half of what's wrong in the gaming space. Whether it's them dogpiling on things like was it Suicide Squad or just their lack of awareness when it comes to that game's coming to Xbox. Well, why didn't you put the logo? Oh, it's not a conspiracy. Like they're the worst. They are part of the reason or partly responsible for whatever downfall there is in gaming. I blame them. It more so than the Series S because the Series S gets a lot of blame for stuff. No, I think we should shift the blame to IGN. I'm
Yeah,
calling it now.
IGN to blame for
100%.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's go. I'm down
yeah,
for that.
I am totally down for that as well. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just weird. I don't know. I mean, I've seen it so many times, and I just try and wrap my head around why the hell, you know. But I guess we'll find out one way or the other. But yeah, we
To
got
Brett's
some.
point, though, Mav,
Yeah,
before we get it, I'm just curious. Just like he says, what if this is a hint that the studio in charge of porting PlayStation games to other platforms is going to announce an Xbox port? Do you think that's the case here?
but that character, that version of Miles Morales, has nothing to do with any video games that exist.
Yeah, true.
So, if you showed a glimpse of the Miles Morales from
Like the
the
Insomniac.
Insomniac Spider-Man games, then I would say, okay, that could make some sense, right?
Oh wait, they
Um,
did have that Spider Verse skin.
They had a Spider-Verse skin, yeah.
was
But
just
it
the
wasn't
suit
it
though.
wasn't it was just a
It was
suit.
the older. Oh, it was just a
Yeah,
suit. Okay.
just the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
like
wasn't his face or anything.
yeah. I mean, it's a different take on a character, and either character Sony owns the rights to because it's either the Spider-Man game version that they published, right, or it's the movie version which they own the rights to. They completely right. So, um, I don't know. It would make sense as a game port, I think, if it was the other Miles Morales, possibly. But this one, that's why I was like, the only thing I could think of is if it was some like Telltale Spider-Man universe game or something like that,
Yeah.
or like some kind of little spin-off, like um indie type made game, kind of like they did with like Lego Horizon, right?
Yeah.
Some kind of like more.
But even then,
Even then,
like
it'd still be weird.
it would be weird just because of how close Sony is with the Spider-Man IP for consoles. Like even on Avengers, giving the appearance that like they own the character um with that skin. or not even skin, they you could only play Spider-Man on the uh PS version of Avengers, and just like stuff like that. So it would be weird. I just think honestly it's either just a dumb mistake from IGN, or there's some trailer announcement, or they're just trying to be like, well, there's going to be movies here, let's just gather stuff from pop culture and famous things and just throw it inside of the logo, which is I'm pretty sure is what happened. They probably got some intern, they're like, I don't
This looks
know.
cool.
This looks cool. Yeah, just put some stuff in the thing, not knowing that fans speculate on this stuff. I have a feeling that's what happened.
Yep.
So
Yep. Probably so. And yeah, but that would be an IGN thing, right?
yeah. But sorry,
Downfall
go
of the
ahead.
industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the people that don't really understand gaming or know anything that working for them doing their video reels and production and stuff, right?
Uh,
I mean,
it's like
that's
a
the world
car
we live in,
salesman
man.
not knowing that the brand of cars that they're selling, like, well, but then again, that does happen. So yeah, it's reality. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, imagine like speaking of like cars, imagine like you're about to have like a Ford event. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're like Ford. Like we had a sizzle reel because we're showcasing a glimpse at some of the partnerships that we have coming for our Ford vehicles coming in the years ahead with different parts and stuff. And in the sizzle reel, revealing the Ford showcase, right?
Mhm.
A partnership Ford showcase, and the sizzle reel showing up. There's a Camaro that drives by in it, like everybody like, what? Why is there a
Yeah.
Camaro showing up
The
in the
Ford.
Ford reveal thing?
It's a car, right? It's a car.
And it's like some editor like, oops, I thought it was Mustang. Like, sorry everybody, I didn't mean to like. I mean, that's IGN. That's like
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. I'm just trying to put it into perspective for Carman Fuzzy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's basically
Yeah.
it.
I could.
Yeah, get the
I
car.
just
It
put some I
drives.
just pi- I'm making a car video, right? I just picked some cool looking cars.
Yeah.
What you mean that's not even from a video game? Like, but he actually puts a Hot Wheel in there. A Camaro Hot
Oh.
Wheel.
Watch the
Okay.
actual editor. He's like, oh shoot.
Yeah, and the Ford community is like, Ford and Chevy are getting together and making the ultimate sports car. The ultimate pony car. It's gonna be a Ford Mustamero. Uh, uh, like I don't know, man. Like it's just weird.
Yeah, it's
Um,
probably you probably explained it exactly how it happened.
yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I guess we'll find out, right?
Uh, damn you, IGN. Damn you all.
Damn you all to hell. So we'll see.
Oh,
I mean, when is that showcase coming? It's
the
on
24th,
yeah, that's
which is a Monday.
why are they announcing the ID at Xbox showcase 3 weeks ahead of
Somebody posted it too soon, and
time? Okay.
that goes to show. It's with IGN, they mess up on leaking stuff. They mess up on sizzle reels.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, you mean we weren't supposed to reveal this yet either? Oh, maybe they
when you
rushed
gave
it.
it to us
You
today,
know?
we thought it was breaking news.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff going on there, man. But yeah, let's move on. So, a couple other things happened today. There's a game that I'm looking forward to, and I think a lot of people are in the community, and got some reviews today. We're gonna see it later on Tidbits as well. But this could end up being an early game of the year type candidate. Now, this year, like we've said many times, is going to be loaded, absolutely loaded. But people cannot stop singing the praises of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. As much so as even I like Windows Central gave it a 10 out of 10. It's got around a 90, I think, overall on Meta, which is a really good score for this kind of game. Because I
Yeah.
think in this kind of game, a lot of times people get like kind of checked out or bored sometimes and they kind of move on. But for this, like seeing that they seem super engaged and a lot of the positive comments on it saying, take away from the Windows Central review is like, this is how you do like a sequel, right? Make it bigger, better, like everything you could want. And yeah, it seems like we got a banger on our hands this week, and it's going to be a loaded February, as well as we got early. I think looks at Civ 7 today as well.
Mhm.
Monster Hunter Wilds comes out later this month. Obviously, we have Avowed hitting it also, which supposedly the little birdies are chatting that that's really good also. So we'll see what those reviews come out to be. But yeah, sitting at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, one that was a first game that kind of was like, hey, this is their first big game, right? And
Mhm.
we're all kind of had our eye on it. It kind of took off as like, hey, everybody should check this game out, and a lot of people did. Then it's been selling for super cheap a lot, trying to get more fans to play it and experience first game, which is a really good game also, right?
Yeah.
And now we have the sequel, which when it was revealed had an amazing reveal trailer. They've been doing a good job with marketing for other trailers. It's been heavily wishlisted on Steam and now has a lot of high praise. I think this game's gonna take off and this franchise is gonna become something bigger than what it was before. What do you think about that, Fuzz?
Oh yeah, I like this. I don't want to compare it to Witcher, but I think this is a more grounded in reality kind of approach.
Yeah.
Different genre because you don't really have magic or anything like that. But it's like if you could take all of the high fantasy out of that time period for an RPG, this is it. But it's so grounded in reality, like the stuff you carry, eating, sleeping, the relationship stuff that you either get caught stealing or don't get caught stealing, or immoral things that some people will start to give a different opinion of you, or even the clothing you wear, they'll get a certain opinion about you, or just it's. I love the first game. It took a while to catch on because early on you suck at like sword fighting. Like there's no way around it. But after a while you get used to blocking and stuff like that. And once you get good with that, then get good with bow and arrow. You should be solid, but once again, there's going to be harder people to come across. You gotta get decent armor. You gotta do favors for some of the tailors or some of the armor or was it blacksmiths and things like that. So yeah, it's involved, and it was a huge map, and it wasn't like, well, I think you can kind of do fast travel if I'm not mistaken, but it comes much later in the game. But yeah, it's this one. If I haven't seen the any of the reviews yet as far as for the two, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm probably going to wind up picking it up on Steam as opposed to console because Steam is $10 cheaper. It's like, hey, I'm glad they remembered that PC gets the discount kind of thing. But yeah, I think this is going to be the start of where, well, hopefully they figure out something for where the trilogy isn't the end all be all. But yeah, I think this one has got a lot more in its lineage for future titles or even potentially spin-offs, because there are some characters you come across that probably deserve their own story. I think one of the ladies from the first one is probably a worthwhile character for a story as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, man. So the reviews so far, it's got like a 89 on Open Critic. 97% of critics recommend. It's got a lot of nines and stuff. And Civ 7, which also comes out this week, is not too shabby, also coming in at 82, especially for a strategy game also. And this is like the OG strategy for 4X strategy type franchise coming in a big way as well. And I think for multiple kinds of genres and games, man, this month might be one of the most packed this year. Especially if you're looking for like RPGs and games that like have a lot of depth and longevity to it. But 3-bit, are you planning on giving Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 a chance if you can find the time?
Yeah, if I could find the time between Yakuza and stuff like that. But this game has been on my list. I kept thinking like this game already came out for a while because I would see like snippets here and there for it felt like many years now. But the combat always seemed really cool. It does kind of remind me of Chivalry 2, like the aesthetics at least. But I see what Fuzzy meant. Like it does have that Witcher vibe in terms of like how the story seems to be kind of handled. But yeah, it seems like they went pretty ambitious with the second entry into the game. I believe it was Deep Silver, right? That's working on this. So super impressed, but just by little snippets I've been seeing. I love the fact just in their promo because I haven't seen a lot of gameplay snippets, but it seems like it's a kind of like a some Bethesda-ness in there where you have your quests, you have your first person camera kind of going into different towns and very open world. It seems very inspired by Bethesda, some Witcher in there, but it's its own thing for sure. Um, but from their promo material, the main thing that I saw was like their mocap for that main trailer where a guy was like in the trailer it was like a first person view of different things going on in his life, like he's spending time with somebody and they get dizzy and he falls and some stuff like that. So I am interested. I'm just not sure when I'll have time. Like this year, I specifically I made a list of games that I'm going to play, and I'm like I'm gonna stick to this list. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have OCD and just play a bunch of games, and which is it's fine. You know, that's what I've been doing before I made this list. But I'm gonna try to beat a lot of these games this year. So if I beat one of the Yakuzas, maybe, then I will divulge in a Kingdom Come. Because I have been looking at this game for a while. It looks super interesting. The graphics look amazing, um, especially this open world of a game.
And
Um,
supposedly it's massive too, right?
yeah, it looked massive just from little clips I've been seeing on Blue Sky and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll definitely give it a go. It's just so hard this year. It's just so much to play.
A lot of
So yeah,
big
hopefully I
games
find
this
time.
month, man, and that's like the tricky thing. Now, this one also supports as a brand new game, right? When many people said, "Oh, like big games won't be going to the stream your own game service on Xbox." Well, there's going to be more and more and more and more, and this is one that's been highly anticipated. And they just announced the other day that if you buy it on the Xbox store, that if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you'll be able to play it via the cloud as well. So that's a added benefit for anybody that purchases this game on an Xbox console or on Xbox storefront. Um, that you can access your games that way. So on Steam, I it's also doing really well. I think. So I haven't. I want to get the stream your own game version, right? So that way I can play, hanging out in bed at night on my tablet and stuff. But I just want to make sure that on the console version we get like a good frame rate. So I need to read more of the reviews to before I pull the trigger to make that decision. Because if I'm getting 60, I'm good. But if I'm sacrificing 30 because I'm playing a console version as opposed to playing a PC version, then I'm not. So if anybody in the chat knows the performance of the game on consoles, or if there's been any reporting on any of the reviews that you've seen so far, let me know on that because I'm curious about the performance level of the game on a Series X, and that'll make my decision. Like I said, when I get my PC, I got it for performance, right?
Yep.
Um, Speaking of Fuzzy, earlier you mentioned my stream last night, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's been talking about Forza Horizon going to PlayStation and all this stuff and all this hoopla and things. I've been playing Tokyo Extreme Racer, so I was already in the racing mood, you know,
Yeah.
and it just got me to thinking and realizing, you know what? Ever since I got my PC, you know, because I didn't really have a reason to, because 60 frames on console plays and works great on my Series X. But ever since I
Mhm.
got my PC, I had played quite a bit of Forza Motorsport on it. I had
Yeah.
never really dove into Forza Horizon 5 on my PC. So I was like, I just all this talk about Forza Horizon 5, people keep talking about PS5 Pro enhanced and all these things that it's gonna be the best version and all this other stuff. I was like, I probably have one of the best versions with my PC, being able to play Forza Horizon 5
Yeah.
that way as well. So I just wanted to go and boot it up just to kind of see what it looks like and stuff on my ultra wide with all that. And man, like I just when I started it, because when I booted it up just to take the
Mhm.
screenshot for my thumbnail, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot. Well, I mean, it looks amazing on a Series X. Don't get me wrong, but I forgot how gorgeous this game is. How like great the cars look. How great the environment looks. Like just in all its glory. And I was sitting here playing like for the first time playing like an ultra wide format, which is like really good for racing games.
Mhm.
And when I was doing that stream, I'm like sitting there like secretly. I'm not like jumping out of my chair, but like in the back of my mind, I'm like, holy shit, man, this is like crazy. Like I've been playing TXR and it's amazing, but
Mhm.
seeing like Forza Horizon 5, you can see why it's
Yeah.
like
Other
the
level.
most popular racing game out there by far right now, and nothing else
Yeah.
holds a candle to it. And I was just like eyes popping out of my skull the whole time. It doesn't really translate well to a stream because bitrate and quality and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But man, like I was just thinking like, hey, you know what? I'm happy for anybody that gets to play this game. Uh, PlayStation players are in for a treat when they get to play this for the first time. But I will
Mhm.
highly suggest anybody that has a good PC, um, you gotta check it out on PC. Because I was doing those street races in like the towns and stuff, Fuzzy.
Mhm.
I had my Fun Speculation Supra, and I had this other like RX-7 that was like pretty tricked out and stuff, and just like getting around those corners and like shifting and like everything just feels so damn good and it looks so glorious, bro. And you don't really, I think, notice it as much when you're just sometimes just traveling around the roads and stuff. But when you get into like a race and there's all the cars around you and you got all of that, it's just like nothing plays like nothing plays like a Forza game, guys. Like it's,
Yeah.
I
I
I
mean,
I think people I really think PlayStation gamers are gonna be that have never touched it or just shat on Forza because they wanted to say, "Oh, like Drive Club was better," or that GT7 is like the king of racing games, all that stuff. I think they're going to be shocked actually
Yep.
when they start playing Forza Horizon 5.
And that's what I feel like Microsoft is kind of gaining on is that like those people who would have never invested in Forza, you are now accessing a new player base that will finally give it a shot. And you know, that's sort of the benefit to them doing this strategy is people are so comfortable in their ecosystems of being Sony or being Xbox or being Nintendo. You have people who will never leave those ecosystems no matter what, unless there's like this really enticing game for them. But for the most part, like they're gonna stay inside their ecosystem. So like when a game like Forza pops up, let's just say strategically, right? Let's just say they just do Forza Horizon and they don't do motorsport or whatever. People are gonna be interested in the future Forza games just going forward. If they play like Horizon and that's their first Forza game, they're gonna be like, oh shoot, this is what I've been missing. Like, oh, like what? And then lo and behold, you know, they announced the next Forza game at the next Xbox showcase in June or something. You're gonna have a lot more people interested in the Forza IP, yeah, and people who are playing on PlayStation. So it's interesting strategy. Glad people get to play it. Mav, something you mentioned also is that this could potentially also lengthen the lifespan of Forza in general because of how traditionally the licensing for Forza games, I don't remember how long it is, but it going to PlayStation, obviously it's not going to just suddenly stop. It's most likely extended whatever those deals are. So that's also just another interesting thing. But yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not bitter about it or anything. You know, I'm actually like, hey, ever for anybody that's been console warring and all this stuff all this time, which I have fun making jokes and stuff as well, right? But like for people that literally just swear off anything Xbox just because it's not PlayStation and all that, and you're excited for Forza Horizon 5 now, if you buy it, all I can say is welcome to the Xbox community.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Um,
they're gonna be Xbox fans. If they like
wait,
that game, they're a fan of Xbox.
I've told my story before. Coming from PS3 to PS4, Drive Club was that game I waited that extra year because of the delay for,
Mhm.
and when it kind of crapped the bed when it launched because the online was the central part to it, and it didn't work for a couple of months. And they kept on saying, "Oh, it's the Forza killer." That's what got me to try Forza. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. Other than the rain effects, which aren't realistic on Drive Club, but they do look awesome, that was the only thing that they had over Forza Horizon 2 at the time. Outside of that, the rest of the game having the freedom to, cut corners, although, yeah, you're not really supposed to do that during a race, but the fact that you have the freedom to cut through grass or people's backyards and whatnot, and they've made it even better over time, where more things are destructible and stuff like that, it to me is the pillar or the gold standard when it comes to arcade racers. And to play it on PC, like I try not to spoil myself by playing it on PC because the biggest thing that I could tell you is like the intricate details that you would see on the 30 frames version. If you want the resolution well, not the resolution, but like the all bells and whistles, the lighting and all that, where it's like the 30 frames version as opposed to the performance version. On PC, it looks like that at the minimum, and then you get the 60 frames on top of it. So you're seeing the dust and all the particles that have a certain glow to it when you hit the brake lights at night. So all of the atmospheric stuff is visible on the PC version, and hopefully, maybe the PS5 Pro can handle that. I have my doubts, but I have a feeling that they'll probably get something that's a little bit of a blend between like the fidelity versus the performance mode and stuff. But yeah, it's a car enthusiast's dream. It's an arcade racer's dream, all into one. Almost 900 cars at this point, and they will probably be at 900 by the time it hits PS5. Yeah, I can't imagine all the smack talk that they talked about Horizon lasting much longer. Like I think at this point, a lot of them will start looking at Polyphony or start looking at Sony in general and be like, "Why did you kill Drive Club?" Like at this point, that's where that should be, if not more. Or why can't we get more freedom outside the track? Like a lot of people would love to have the highway racing of what you see in like Tokyo Extreme Racer in GT7. Like they have a similar highway stretch, but unless you're in like the lobby stuff, like you can do that in the lobby, but you can't do anything quote unquote officially where you get points or scores or anything like that or any earnings from it. So it's not as fun. And then to have something where you can just tool around and act like, hey, I just bought this Ferrari. Let's see how it, rips and tears up the highway and cuts through the city, and let me drift down the mountain and stuff like that. You can't do that in GT7. So having something like Forza where you can do that, it's amazing. And I'm not mad at any PlayStation cats for getting it. Kudos to you guys. I say buy it. You don't have to get all the car packs, but there are some good car packs, especially like the welcome pack, which if it doesn't come with the standard edition, definitely pick that up because these are like pre-tuned cars that are kind of like cheater cars. So this will help you win a lot of the races against the unbeatable AI as time goes on. But yeah, it's the ultimate arcade racer. I think EA would give their right and left leg for to have any of the franchise money that Forza has at this moment, because they've kind of fallen off with Need for Speed and stuff. But
And Need for Speed Unbound is a good game. It just
yeah,
still it just doesn't capture what Forza Horizon does. And you can go
yeah,
and have fun with Unbound and all that stuff. I think Crew
mhm,
Motorfest is also a good game, and they tried to almost blatantly rip off Horizon. Like, I mean,
yeah,
like it's like, hey, this is our version of Horizon, but you got boats and airplanes and stuff too, right? Yeah, but
Yep.
the it just doesn't feel as good to play, or it doesn't look
uh,
quite as good. Look gorgeous. Both of
yeah,
those games are gorgeous, right?
yeah,
I remember playing Need for Speed Unbound, and I was like, wow, like it actually graphics are great. And if you could drive slow through like the city, the way the tires
yeah,
individually go up on the curbs and adjust and stuff, it's like, wow, that's actually really realistic for an arcade racer, how they handle the physics and all this stuff. But no
hmm,
matter what, when I'm playing it, it still doesn't feel like Horizon does, and
yeah,
that's something I don't think anybody can capture, because that's the specialness that comes from not just Playground, but the Turn 10 engineering with all this work that they've done with the engines and stuff, and then Playground mastering it with the arcade racer, right? And taking this Forza feel to slightly more arcadey and just crazy fun, man. The amount
yep,
of
Best team
cars,
around.
everything that you have, the graphics on top of it, it's just
yep.
insane.
I challenge the PlayStation cats. Try it with the basic, what do they call those? Like the assists in place, and then try it with no assists, and then see if you can tell a difference. You will be able to tell a difference, and I think that will cause them to stop saying that, oh, all Forza physics are fake and arcadey. It's like, no, just try it with
It's
both.
extremely
Try it
adjustable.
with and without, and then go and play GT7 with and without, some of the assists. And I think you'll have a better understanding of why people say, no, it has a more in track feel to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have a little bit more grip than you should, but And again, it's better than ice skating on some of the turns and things like that and the other ones. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I predict we'll be talking about 60 million players in Forza Horizon. I mean, they're already at like 45 mil.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just
it's
being on
another
Xbox
15.
and PC. Yeah.
Was it? I forget what show. We were doing a show, and somebody, or maybe it was when I was doing my stream, somebody had asked if Forza Horizon 5 will outsell Ghost of Yotei on PlayStation. And I was trying to think about it, and I honestly, I don't know. I mean,
That's it's a tough one because it's not Jin's story. If it was Jin's story, I would say it might not. But this isn't Jin, and we already heard some of the backlash, which I think is silly. But oh, it's not Jin's story. I don't want to play it. Whatever. Like I do think it does 5 million units pretty easily. Also, Yotai should be able to do 5 million pretty easily. Like I'm probably gonna wind up buying it day one. Um, but I could see Forza Horizon reaching up to 15 million. Will Ghost of Yotai do 15? I mean, I don't even
yeah.
think Horizon Forbidden West did 10
I
yet.
mean, the
Maybe they
original
did
Ghost
at this
did
point, but
13. So,
I mean, I think like
yeah.
Forza Horizon is for racing genre is can kind of become what NBA 2K is to basketball, or what Madden is to football, what Call of Duty is to shooters. Like the Forza
Yeah.
Horizon series can be that de facto racing game for everyone. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And it could become it. I don't know necessarily with this one, but establishing this fan base on all platforms, maybe with the next one, it could become that like one of those kind of games that everybody has played, you know, or everybody plays at some point or another, or that's more of a casual experience, but also has a very hardcore fan base as well,
Yeah.
you know, because I know that's what exists on Xbox already, where
Mhm.
it is. You have your hardcore enthusiasts that take it to another level, right? And then you have your casual players. It's like, hey, this is a fun racing game, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it captures something that no other racing game does. Um, Antonio Newman says, "Is Forza launching at full price?" I don't think they've announced the price yet. I,
My
I
My guess is it's
50.
what it's going for in the store now, which I think it is 50 for the base game. So it'll probably be that. It'll probably be 70 for the complete edition. It's 5 years, 6 years old at this point, but it'll be 5 or 6 years old by the time it hits PlayStation. So it's the same thing that Xbox is, charging for new customers, and a lot of times it dips down below 30 or dips down to around 30 around the holidays. So yeah, I don't foresee it being 70 out the gate.
Yeah, I
yeah.
have no idea how much it's gonna sell. I don't know how much Ghost of Yotei will sell too. Like I that's why I had trouble with
Mhm.
that question when somebody asked, and I'm like, I don't know, man, because I think anything above a few million is like a huge win for them, you know.
Yeah.
And like Astrobot sold what, 1.5, maybe
1.5 to 2.
approached 2.5 at this point after the Game Awards and stuff. So,
Mhm.
but that's more of like it's a platformer that's like kind of, this is more of a grander scale game, and I think there's a lot more hype around Ghost of Yotei than it would be something like Astrobot too. Like for me, I think
Yeah.
the sequel people would have been anticipating the most, or at least for me, would have been the Ghost of Tsushima sequels, and that's Ghost of Yotei. Um,
Right.
so because I'm not excited for another God of War, I could care about another Last of Us. Personally, Horizon, I've definitely don't care about seeing that again. I know that the next God of War and Horizon and those games would still sell well because they're huge franchises,
Mhm.
but um, Ghost of Yotei it's that next game, right? It's the sequel that people have been waiting for a while. So we'll see how it does. The downside is it's
Yeah.
coming in a year where there's also Assassin's Creed Shadows, and there's also Ninja Gaiden 4. So
Yeah.
there's a chance people could be ninja'd out. And well,
Hey,
I mean, samurai is over there, but isn't it a ninja turned samurai or
yeah,
something? And
the girl is supposed to be a ninja, which I know from what I heard before, that's supposed to go against the tradition, but whatever. But and then Ninja Gaiden being a new entry into the series coming later this year, like I was Ghost of Yotai, I would try to beat Ninja Gaiden 4 release. Just saying.
yeah,
Um,
Assassin's Creed
I,
Shadows is coming out this March, right? And that's
right.
a massive game. And what was Ghost of Tsushima always compared to was Assassin's Creed. So now you have the Japanese flavored Assassin's Creed coming out. The net last previews we had for that were extremely positive. So,
Mhm.
and we know how popular the Assassin's Creed franchise is, and I don't
Yeah.
know if it'll be down or up compared to what it was in the past. But even if it is down, you're still, I think, gonna have a lot of people buy it because it's the next big Assassin's Creed game. And
Yeah.
leading into, okay, well, again and again and again, massive open world ninja game, massive open world samurai game.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna be
I don't know.
interesting to see how well it sells. Like Shane is saying in chat, like I'd be shocked if it sold X amount. I will say like Forza Horizon sold like just very well. I know they released like player numbers, like it reached over 40 million people,
Mhm.
um, which was just crazy. I think it even went up to 50 because I think I remember they had a promo thing about like 50 million players. A lot of it, yeah, was definitely Game Pass people, but it also was like in the top 10 on Steam at one point. So it's just one of those weird games. Normally I would agree with you, like racing games and fighting games I feel like are niche, but I think Forza just does this weird thing where it can cross some boundaries there for the racing genre. So do I believe it'll sell more than Ghost of Yotei? I think so. Like maybe we'll see. We'll see. I know Ghost of Tsushima, um if we're not counting what is already selling with Xbox and PC, then that's like tricky. Like because it already sold pretty well and it's going to sell more than Ghost of Tsushima. But if we're just counting like PlayStation copies, I mean the Ghost of Tsushima sold around 13 million, and I think
Yeah.
it took a couple of years for it to reach that. It wasn't like I think it took maybe 3 years to reach that 13 million. I remember it was like hovering around like the 8 or so for a while, and it started jumping up in sales and stuff like that. Um, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I like Ghosts of Yute. I feel like is going to actually sell worse. That's my speculation.
Well, most of the
Just
sequels
slightly worse.
have, but man, I think Ghost of Yotei will sell better than the first one.
You think so?
Yeah,
Better
because
than Tsushima?
I
Yeah.
think, I think the first one was underscored and underappreciated by games media as well. It only had like a 83 on Meta, and
Mhm.
comparative to the other games that Sony was putting out, like for a lot of people, it was their favorite.
Mhm.
Right? Over some of the other
True.
games, and it was just a fantastic game. I know some people said they copied the Assassin's Creed formula a little bit too much. I think it had enough of a different flavor for sure to be
It felt
completely
like the
established.
Assassin's Creed formula that people wanted, like,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
as many icons. It's close, but not exact. It's they learned.
Hmm.
They learned from Ubisoft, and they learned what the audience of Ubisoft games were saying, and that's what they implemented. They
Right.
changed a few things up to their liking.
So where
Yeah.
Forbidden West, as Shuhei Yoshida famously said on his interview with Greg Miller, was surprising because it sold less than Horizon Zero Dawn. Usually the sequels will sell more, right? But that
Yeah.
was because I think people saw the scores and stuff for Horizon Zero Dawn, got sucked into the hype around it, and then we're like, "Oh, this isn't exactly lighting my world on fire," right? Whereas
Hmm.
Ghost of Tsushima was like, "We're gonna play this because it looks cool, despite the lack of hype around it." And then it was word of mouth, kind of gamers actually propping that up more than like media and stuff was. Where Horizon was propped up by media. like crazy,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm
And
just curious if you'll have all the stupid controversy around it. Like she's a woman now, and
oh
it's not
god,
as cool as like the last guy or whatever. Like
Jin.
Jin, like I don't know. I am
Jin
curious if it
Sakai.
will sell better. It just like I agree with you, Mav. Like a lot of people discovered Ghost of Tsushima later, and then I believe it had a PC port, right?
Mhm.
And that also added an additional like people to the franchise. I'm just I don't know. You guys think it'll sell better
I
overall than Ghost of
I
Tsushima?
think normally on a sequel, you have the first game establishes the brand, and then
Hmm.
the next game has a lot more hype because that brand is established, the IP is established. If it's a great game that people actually
Right.
loved, right? And I think for that regard, I think it could sell more. Now, what Sony's been having problems with is a lot of their games have been selling less than the past, just in general, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to have a factor, but it could be because people are kind of tired of some of those franchises and stuff, right? I don't know if Spider-Man 2 how it did
Yeah, I
comparatively to
want to go down
Spider-Man
the
1.
list, like of all the Sony games. I think the first Spider-Man game sold more, but
Yeah.
they bundled the heck out of that because it
Yeah, yeah,
had
yeah.
original Spider-Man, and then I think in the investor calls
That
they
PS4
included.
bundle was like crazy popular.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So that's Spider-Man. Last of Us, I don't know. I don't know if the second one sold more. I don't think it did
No, it
either.
didn't. It didn't sell more than the first.
But God of
And
War,
that's
I
before
think.
counting any remakes or remasters. 2 didn't do as well as 1.
Yeah, so okay. We're just setting a precedent. I'm just using my detective goggles. So God of War 1 to 2, did God of War Ragnarok sell better than the first one?
I think
I don't
so.
think so.
I don't
You
know.
think okay.
I honestly I have no clue on any of these. The only one I know is because it came from Shuhei Yoshida's mouth was Forbidden West, and he said he was surprised
Yeah.
about that.
Right,
Right.
right.
So I'll rely on the chat. Alvin says The Last of Us sold 10. The first one sold 18. Wow,
First one more.
that's a
Okay.
Yeah.
lot
So
less.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
the
it could.
controversy of killing
Yeah.
a beloved character, and no, it's not a spoiler if you don't know this by now, too bad on you. No, I'm sorry. So, but seriously, they killed the beloved character from the first one. We saw how that worked in what is it? The Walking Dead. And yeah, not everybody likes Glenn, but most of the people that follow that series like Glenn enough to be like, "Oh, why'd you do that?" I mean, it was in the comics or the books as well, but still,
Mhm.
it didn't follow everything of the comics and books before. So, especially
Yeah.
considering what's his name was still alive,
Yeah, I
and then
stopped
they
watching
wound up
after that.
killing his son instead of him, kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, that killed that franchise. I think to some extent. Like, there's a lot of people said that the story is a good story. I don't particularly care for either of them, but I would say that character being, you know, killed is the thing that probably hurt the sales. That and the leaks and the controversy about it and Abby and there was a lot of stuff that just kind of, squashed their sales numbers. And then they remastered the hell out of it, and we still see it to this day where that's how I guess they recoup some of that funding. But I I'm gonna make a controversial prediction. If Ghost of Yotai is day and date on PC, it will absolutely do better than Ghost of Tsushima. If it is not, it will absolutely not do better than Ghost of Tsushima. I'll leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And like some people have mentioned like go racing being kind of niche, which again I kind of agree with, but like a lot of sports kind of content are a lot more accessible than a story-based game like a Ghost of Tsushima. Like like a lot of people just jump in and race and don't have to know or be worried about blood or anything. Just it's a lot more accessible in general. So that means it could just have more sales just from that. That I mean that's kind of proven with a lot of the top games that are in the most sold list on Sony platforms. Most of them being live service and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't. I would. I don't know. Again, Forza is in that category where it sells pretty well, even only being on Xbox for X amount of time. Alvin
Yeah, he
uh
posted God of
posted it.
War also
Yeah.
for 2018 sold 23 mil. Ragnarok he thinks is 16.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds about right.
So
so
historically, Mav, Ghost of Utah is going to
I
sell
I
less.
I guess but I don't know how much the first Ghost of Tsushima sold. I don't think it sold
Um,
as
eight,
like a Horizon
13 million.
It's in the
13.
11 million plus range.
Okay.
At least in the
So
11
it
million,
doesn't
and then that
have as much of a gap to go. Like it's not trying to hit 20 plus to
right
overcome what it did the first time, right?
No,
now
according to
that
this thing,
11
it's
million that
13
I'm
million.
counting is not counting the director's cut. Just the plain base game was at least 11 mil
Right.
before they did the director's cut. So
Well, we'll see. Ultimately, this is a completely pointless conversation because it doesn't affect anything.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
it
kind of
was
fun.
just it was just fun because
it's fun.
somebody
Yeah,
asked that in the chat the other day, and I was actually trying to think of it. Like I don't know because I don't I disagree with the fact that racing is a niche genre.
Mm,
I also disagree with the fact that some people say fighting games are a niche genre,
yeah,
right? Think back to when we were all kids. Where I'm talking a lot of us old 40-plus-year-old motherfuckers that are listening to this show right now,
Mortal
right?
Kombat, Street Fighter.
Think back
um,
to what were we all playing? We played
I was playing Tekken.
hella racing
fighters,
games. We
brawlers,
played
racing.
hella
Yeah,
fighting games. We played everything under we played everything under the sun. Cruising USA, Rush, San Francisco 2049. You had fucking the original Gran Turismo on PlayStation was like one of the most highest selling games of all time, like on PlayStation. That franchise
hmm
has sold a crazy amount over the years. Forza has been a dominant force for Xbox for a long ass time, and with just even before Horizon, with just the Motorsport series, was one of the tentpole franchises. Now, I will say this: publishers have fumbled the racing genre, um, in the last decade or so.
yeah,
Before GT7 and and Motorsport and Forza Horizon, third party publishers have just completely shat on the racing genre, right? They've tried, but the games haven't lived up to what they were in the past. So the games have not been as successful, right? Those games back in the day were some of the best sellers they would have. That's why you had 7 fucking Ridge Racers, right? That's why you have this many Forza Motorsports, like 9? Is it 9 Forza Motorsports now? Like was the last
if you
or
include
8?
Apex, yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Apex was 9. Horizon, we're at 5 of them. GT is on its
yeah.
7th game. Plus, you got prologue and sport mixed in there.
mm,
I mean, like I disagree with the fact that it's a niche genre. I think 44 million players on Horizon holds up with many other popular genre games, right? Um,
yeah.
now
And
same
Mortal Kombat does sell really well. There are definitely like examples of how those games could sell very well. Like Mortal Kombat is a great example,
it would sell
and
like
then
20 million
Forza as well.
copies like
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat would last generation when it was like the only great fighting game that put a bunch of investment into making great fighting games like last gen fighting genre. The publishers started treating them like, well, we can put less money in this because they're like not as like big huge games or whatever, so they're just going to put less money and hope that they still take off and do crazy well. And then when they don't sell because they're not as great, it's like, oh, well, what happened? This is a niche. This is niche for us now. This generation, I think, has been proven opposite. Like Street Fighter did well at the gate, because they put a lot of good time and investment into it. You had Tekken 8 did really well out of the gate. Mortal Kombat 1 actually took a little bit of a slide comparatively to the last gen Mortal Kombat's because it seems like they actually like changed the game slightly too much to make it a little bit more light. I think it didn't resonate with people. Like just seeing the white box for Mortal Kombat and stuff, like it just doesn't
Yeah,
feel. It
there's
just
some
feels a
changes I
little
didn't like
weird.
in
Yeah.
there recently. I
I
wasn't.
love the game. I thought it was fantastic, but it still sold crazy well. And yeah, like racing games can sell bonkers if they're great. If they're
Yeah,
great. And what I'm talking about is reaching the levels like they did back in the day, like Need for Speed Underground. You know, one of the most popular games back then, not just for racing game fans. Like everybody talks about how great that game was.
hmm
So it's good to see that the game can be what it is. I would say that the best racing game can get a lot of players. So we'll see how it sells. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, yeah. Anyways, um, like Forza on PS5 should like a lot of people are gonna see how good it is. So that's the main thing. I know some people are mentioning like how many people have played it for like 5 seconds or whatever. Like I would just say, look, it was again, it was top played on Steam for a long time as well. And Steam, you buy it, right? So if you want to look at those numbers, if those appease you as well, you can look at those. They do have some uh, player time on some Steam charts as well. A lot of people have been playing it. Like it's a pretty active game. Is I wouldn't put it in one of those things where it's just like, oh, I played it for 5 seconds and put it down. Like Horizon has a pretty active fan base, and that's for someone who doesn't even play it that much. Like that's something I've just seen over time. Like a lot of people seem to really dig the game. So I don't know.
I'll I'll put some numbers out there. We're aware that there's 35 million people in Game Pass, or at least that amount, right? So let's just say everybody in Game Pass at least played it once. So that means you had to have sold at least 5 million more copies. But the drawback to that is there's a good bit of people like myself that played it in Game Pass and bought it. So do we count twice? No, we would only count once if we bought it and we're still paying it through Game Pass. So even if every player only played it once, you're still talking about more copies sold than some more recent titles on other platforms. But my best guesstimate, just because I look at what do you call it, the star board or whatever, of the people that play it for like 5 minutes that have like less than 100 or you know accolade points.
hmm
I think I looked at it before. For people that barely completed the first mission, was under 2 million. So there's a few people that turned it on, played that first mission, and then turned it off. Now, when I look at things like GT7, I have roughly 200 people on PlayStation. Some of them, or majority of them, are Xbox and PlayStation guys, but some of them are only PlayStation guys or PlayStation PC. Exception of 15. All of them stopped after playing like one or two rounds of the audio drive, like the drive with music thing, which is pathetic because they haven't even gotten into the game to buy their first car. So it's like they did the start menu and turned it off. So to have out of 200 people, only 15 people went beyond the start menu gives you a rough guesstimate of what is involved with GT7. I'm pretty sure they're in the 12 to 13 million copies sold, which it's weird because they made mention that it was 16 million copies sold between Horizon Forbidden West and GT7 shortly after launch. I know a lot of people that bought physical copies and just put them on the shelf, so it's never played. It's just because it was their, was it the 35th anniversary or 25th anniversary or something that
hmm
that people bought it as a collector's item. But when you look at Forza Horizon, you have a list of the accolades listing of all the all stars or everybody that's played it, and there's a good bit of the 2 million that, like I said, didn't get past the first mission. There's a good bit that are in the 1,000 points category, which means you probably played more than a couple of hours, up to about, let's say, 8 hours of gameplay. And I know based on the username, some of them are in the gaming media, which it's always interesting to see that because it's like, oh, you gave it a, well, actually, a lot of people gave it a 8, 9, or a 10, but it's like, you guys didn't even fall into the game that much. You played it for like 2 hours and you're giving it a 10. I mean, it is a 10, but thanks for only playing 2 hours, I guess. But there are like, I'm in the million accolade point, and I took 2 major breaks from the game because it pissed me off early because of bugs. And then the second time it was like because I wasn't getting any new cars, so I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus. So there's probably 6 months, at least 6 months that I haven't played. I'm only in the million crowd. Some of my closest friends are in close to the million crowd. There is, I got to look at it again. There's over 8 million people that are 10 million accolades and above. So those are the people that actively play multiplayer almost daily, at least, a couple of times a week. So there's 10 million plus active players in that game, maybe not daily, but that check in weekly. And the way that the the festival playlist works, you want to at least check in at least one time a week to collect some cars, to get some bonus points, to get the new tickets, I guess, so you can get other cars you may have missed in previous weeks and stuff. And like I said, I'm missing 70 cars, and most of those 70 I'm missing are the ones you can buy from the car packs. There's probably like 3 cars I'm missing that you don't have to buy the car packs that I haven't earned yet. And one of them I got screwed out of because I guess the community voted against that car to get that with the tickets. But it's got a decent player base. I would say, while I agree, racing is a niche now. It used to be a pillar. It used to be the go-to for consoles to, show all the bells and whistles. They were always the eye candy thing. But in the beginning days, it was like the equivalent of the arcade because a lot of people wanted to play Outrun. A lot of people like playing pole position. So in the Atari era, pole position in your house was, a big to do because the only other place to play it was in the arcade. And Outrun was kind of the same thing with Sega. So this kind of is the reinvigorating of that niche genre, just like fighting. There's a lot of fighters that came back. Some of them aren't selling as well as they may have hoped, but that's not the case for Street Fighter. It definitely outdid what it did on, Street Fighter V. But platformers outside of Nintendo aren't. I would say they're more niche, except for on the Nintendo platform. Because if you got 60 million consoles out there and you're only selling like 2 million Astrobot copies, and then you stand a chance of selling, more copies of Indiana Jones on that same platform. I don't know. I feel it's a little, racing is a little bit bigger. And like I said, especially considering on PlayStation where GT7 did cross over the 10 million mark with this latest entry, and they've kind of, they haven't supported it anywhere near as much. Like they do once a month updates, and you're getting like, I would say their weekly updates, they're implemented monthly, but they're weekly updates when it comes to Horizon. So there's a lot more reason for the team to constantly do the support that they do for it in comparison to something like GT7, where one of the cars that we got this month was one they talked about in August, and it was supposed to come shortly after that, and we just got it pretty much the last day of January because they had said it was going to come in January and December, or maybe they said it in October that it was coming in January, and they waited until the last day. All the while, all other updates have been at the beginning of the month. This one was mysteriously at the end of the month because Polyphony is slow when it comes to anything. Yeah, well, everything in their game. Like I would say GT8, we're lucky if we see it in 2030. I hope I'm wrong, but 2030 seems about accurate for GT8. So we'll see.
Yeah. And last point on this, like Shane saying like, Xbox, why don't they announce the copies sold and stuff like that? Like, they stopped for a while, but if you were to even think about like Call of Duty, right, and how people thought that that would harm the sales for Call of Duty, and it ended up being the most successful Call of Duty yet, pushing them to like the top publisher of the year. Like people are gonna, just because they have Game Pass, that doesn't mean they're gonna use it, or maybe they do have it, they're still gonna buy it. There's so many different options out there, and Call of Duty is a great example of that. One of the best selling games of all time. It's on Game Pass still. People still bought the heck out of it. It's one of the top selling games, on the platform, and now they're the top publisher. So I'm thinking it's going to sell pretty well. I don't know how well it's going to sell on PlayStation, but again, it's like them accessing another crowd that normally wouldn't have bought that game, and now they get to try out Forza, and it's actually kind of interesting for what that's going to do with the GT series in the future. Like, will that affect it? Like, if they put Forza Motorsport on Xbox, or on a PlayStation, is that going to affect GT in the future? It's possible, because a lot of people have said that they liked Forza better than GT, a lot of more features and stuff on it. So now that it's on the PlayStation, it's no like, oh, I like it because I'm on PlayStation. It's basically like, well, now it's on PlayStation. Do you still like it more with all these features in there? That's going to be a interesting conversation for
Yeah.
the future. So,
Real quick before I want to get to the super chat, but real quick before we
yep.
move on, because next super chat's about Battlefield, which I'm looking forward to talking about soon as well. So I'll say this, that there's still a lot of conversation about like sales numbers and why don't they share sales, and like Game Pass hurting sales and all this other kind of stuff as well, right? Uh, we all know that Xbox has been saying player numbers for a very long time now, right? We also know that PlayStation has said to them that engagement is how they actually judge their, like, how good they're doing, right? The amount
Yep.
of users they have, all this other kind of stuff. Because they're not
Yeah,
going to say
software
it's
is more.
sales when the software sales are actually down on their own first party games. And if you're like a publisher, platform holder, whatever, and you're setting out a, hey, we've have this amount of something to celebrate it, you're never going to say the lower number. So they're not going to say, hey, we have, okay, so if it's like they have 40 million, like we've reached 40 million players. Hey, we've reached 15 million copies sold. No, they're going to say we've reached 40 million players, because it sounds more exciting, right? Like, it's just, this game is so successful that it has 40 million people playing it. It's advertising. It's a way to market the popularity of a game, to celebrate the achievements of it. You're never going to say the lower number. If PlayStation had their games day and date and game in their PlayStation Plus service, right? And there was 30 million people that played God of War Ragnarok day and date in PlayStation Plus Extra, right? And there was 7 million people that bought it. They wouldn't be like, we sold 7 million copies of God of War Ragnarok. They would say 30 million of our players have played God of War Ragnarok,
Mhm.
right? Because it sounds more exciting. And no matter what, how you're accessing it, you still paid for access to the game. So that's why they report players as opposed to um,
It's
sales.
outright sales.
It's
Yeah.
just part of it's marketing. Part of it is to, because that's how they actually measure the success of the games internally. We don't know how all of the margins work out for profit and revenue and all these other kind of things with how Game Pass operates within Xbox, but we know they believe in it, and that Game Pass within and of itself is a profitable endeavor for Microsoft and Xbox. So depending on, does it hurt sales, does it not, doesn't really fucking matter, as long as Xbox is healthy and the profit is good and everything is still growing. And that's what they're That's what they're doing. So when they sell on PlayStation, it'll increase the amount of players, and it may sell a certain amount of copies, and that's going to help everything, and it'll just add to it all, right? But
Yep.
the numerous reasons why they don't just say we sold this amount of copies. I mean, why would you say we sold 5 million copies when you got 20 million players playing something? You know, it just as a somebody that would be in charge of marketing or something, if I was ever given that role, I would never say the lesser number. Who would? So I mean, that's why they don't. That's why they don't do
That's why
that.
they don't do
I
it.
mean, it's just kind of
Yep.
common sense logic thinking there, right? Ron G 2665 with a $5 super chat says, "New Battlefield looked crazy, but I think Naughty Dog and Rockstar are gonna blow everybody away with Intergalactic and GTA 6." Well, I don't know when we'll see Intergalactic again. Maybe we'll see it again in 2026 and then it released in 2027.
Um, Late 2027, maybe. Like, I feel like that game is a little bit further out than people are thinking. But um, they have been working on it for a while. I don't know. I am looking forward to that game. I'm a Naughty Dog fan, so I hope it comes out super soon. But yeah, Intergalactic is going to be cool. I know they had some leaks for that game like a day or so after that trailer comes out. So I'm sure we're going to get more leaks because for some reason Naughty Dog is like leak central whenever their game is about to come out. Whoever's working their security sucks. So we'll know. I'm sure before that game comes out, we'll get some details.
Yeah. I think we'll probably see. Here's I'm anticipating one big first party game a year for them, right? Like those kind of games. And so I think this year is supposed to be Ghost of Yotei. We already know the Wolverine's supposed to be 2026. So I would that for that reason I would chalk up Intergalactic because it's the only other big one that we have had announced from those tentpole first party studios yet. I would chalk that one up
Yeah,
to be their 2027 game.
but Wolverine is first for sure.
Yeah.
You think?
So yeah, I would think
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say this year is Ghost of Yotei, 2026 Wolverine, 2027 would be Intergalactic. Um, and then if it's on track, right, is I think it's still ways off. And then 2028, maybe X-Men, if we're lucky. I have no idea. I don't remember what was on that roadmap, or maybe that was 2030 for that. I think was a
Uh,
possibility. I don't know.
yeah. Let me look at the date.
Yeah, I remember it was in the Insomniac leaks, but I remember 2026 was supposed to be Wolverine. That also could be pushed. Who knows, right? Yo, what's up, Nick? It
20,
says can't believe I haven't acknowledged you yet. How's it going, Special Nick? Appreciate you being here, bro.
2030.
Shout out to the rest of the chat as well. What if says KOTOR remake? KOTOR remake who?
That's dead. That thing is dead.
Yeah, the Asper one. Yeah,
Yeah, unless someone
that's
else picked it up.
yeah. I don't think I think the word was Sony backed out of that one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
for
Sony
the
I
backed out.
KOTOR,
think
yeah.
I think that's what the word was that Sony like hated the showing of it or something, and so then like Saber like freaked out and made a bunch of changes and stuff, or
Like,
Embracer Group freaked out and made a bunch of changes, and then put Saber in charge, and it's maybe still a thing, but looking for a new partner,
yeah,
possibly. I
I
have
can
no
imagine
idea.
how that meeting went too. They're like, "What? There's
Yeah,
no bows and arrows?" And like, what? Um, like, yeah, that game. I don't know. Aspire's not working on it anymore. Sony backed out of it. I think the last I've heard is they were looking for some other partner or something to help them with it or something like that. But I don't think Sony is involved anymore.
yeah.
That should be honestly added to the amount of games that Sony has been canceling. I'll put 8.1, 8.5.
We'll see. I mean, there's also the Sony Quantic Dream game, the Star Wars
Oh yeah.
one. I have no
Mhm.
idea where that is. These are games that we saw years ago and have had no updates on really. Yobi says there was an article, about it in November.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I remember some kind of report that says it was still alive, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what it's going to look like or who's making it anymore. Right?
Like
I
we're
think
still
there's a
thinking
big
about
I think there's a
it.
big mystery there where they're at with it as well. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
I mean, What If says in April 2024, Saber CEO confirmed it's alive and well. Um,
But that was, I think, right after the whole fiasco that happened with Saber and Embracer Group, and he was
yeah.
like answering questions about like the status of different games and like if they still have plans of doing that, I think in a question like that, he's not gonna say, "Well, it's a shit show right now," you know, but maybe we'll figure this out at some point. I mean, he's gonna give the whole, "Hey, it's alive and well," and because that's what their plans on is to still finish that game. I just don't know when or if who's on board with it and all that kind of stuff. I think eventually we'll hear more about it again. Right? And I
Mhm.
hope so. I mean, Saber did an amazing job with Space Marine 2, right? So maybe we'll see some cool stuff
Yeah, I
there.
like Saber as a team, so um, yeah, yeah, I hope it goes through.
Yobi sent me a DM here about it. It was in September. I remember seeing. I think I remember seeing this. This was from Gaming Bible. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic remake of Fate officially confirmed. The confirmation we needed. This is from Angharad Redden. Says Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic remake has been on quite a journey since it was first announced back in 2021, but it now seems as though things are finally looking up. First released back in 2003. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Okay. Um. Okay. I'm trying to see where they get to the comments. However, since the announcement, the project has received quite a few setbacks, including delays, rumored cancellations, and even a studio change-up. However, in August 2022, it's reported that the reins will be handed over to Saber Interactive with Embracer Group. Okay. However, since
Yeah,
the
and
studio
then
changed,
and then a
details have been
lot of stuff.
scarce.
It's crazy because it went over to Saber, and then the Embracer
Yeah.
thing happened. So it's just in a weird spot,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like,
Yeah. I mean, Saber got separated from Embracer since. So I said, courtesy of Saber Interactive CCO Tim Willits, we now know that the team is focused on development and more will be shared when the time is right. Right now, we are, although this offers very little information, it at least confirms that KOTOR Remake has not been canceled. Right now, we are focused on development. We look forward to sharing more when the time is right.
okay,
That's not instilling tons of confidence in
yeah.
me. I'm just saying, like,
Mhm.
overall, but at least, we know that it's still in the works.
I mean, I heard that about Beyond Good and Evil. I really
They'll
want that
still say
game.
that about Beyond Good and Evil too, I think.
We're still working on it.
Yeah.
Still working.
Yeah, we turned a corner. We're in the right direction now, you know? Oh,
Yeah.
we met a goal this week, for the team,
Mm,
you know?
Yeah, we cut the
yeah.
lights on in the
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
We reached an
We press
important
play.
milestone in the development. When it turns out it was like their first concept art finally got
Yeah. The
published,
characters
but
can now jump.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with
Um,
KOTOR remake. But yeah, let's get into Battlefield,
Do it.
because
yeah.
today's news on the internet was filled with Battlefield stuff because EA came out strong and said, "Hey, we're doing the Halo thing and we're going to rebrand a little bit. Now, we're not actually changing the name of our studios, but as a collective, these four studios are now called Battlefield Studios." That was a thing that kind of happened.
Yeah.
So they have this Battlefield Studios thing, kind of embracing this four dev team made up of developers around the world, focusing on the next Battlefield game. And they also shared a little snippet of gameplay, which Pong had a tweet noticing that, hey, looks like old school Levolution might be back with buildings crumbling from grenades and all that other kind of stuff. So the screenshot, or not the screenshots, but the little gameplay snippets that they showed of very early stuff that who knows exactly how it turned out, looked pretty amazing. As well as they announced Battle Labs, which if you try and or Battlefield Labs, which if you try and sign up because of the popularity of this now, it is you'll be put in a queue to sign up for this testing Battlefield testing chance to play the game early and give feedback on it basically.
Mhm.
And they've announced that they're doing this to because they're at a key part of development where these feedback is going to be very crucial to how the game turns out. So that's the thing that's happening. People are flooding in trying to get access to this game to give it a go. And Battlefield looks like, as a lot of people worried, would EA take a step back with what happened with 2042 at launch? Um, Seeing that they still get decimated by Call of Duty and other games sometimes. So 2042 not so great at launch. They don't want this to happen again. They put Vince Zampella in charge after Battlefield 2042 launch disaster. He tried to fix that up to whatever he could. Did a good job, I think, because 2042 is still a fun game to me, but has been leading these teams down a path to hopefully resurrect Battlefield into top tier status again. So it's a doubling down by EA for this franchise, in my eyes, and I think we have the best of Battlefield yet to come. Fuzzy, I know you dabble in the Battlefield a little bit.
Mhm.
Did
Yeah.
you see the information today? What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I like the fact that they have the what's it called? The Battlefield Labs. Like, now I'm hoping it's more than just, dog and pony show kind of thing as far as them showing that they're actually going to listen to the individuals that they have, I guess, recruited into this like early alpha testing stuff. Getting gamer feedback, I think, would be awesome in helping them shape it. But just the clips of stuff that they showed, and the fact that there's still going to be that destructibility, they're going to pay attention to vehicles probably better, so you don't have hovercrafts going up the side of buildings. Um, as long as they pay attention to those things and make it so any of the issues I had with 2042, like the things that were probably the most frustrating, well, two things frustrating were people being able to like hide in walls or hide in items they shouldn't be able to get into. They could shoot out, you can't shoot in. So they need to. I mean, they fixed that with 2042 at like one of the early patches, but it was annoying that launch day, and that kind of left a lasting impression. And then the other thing was areas of cover leading up to certain areas. It's like there were a couple of map things where it's like unless you were in a vehicle, you were a sitting duck trying to figure out how to get to the objective without getting picked off, and having, even if it's just, I know it sometimes looks silly to have like abandoned cars spread across the map, or maybe a dumpster or whatever the case was in some of it, some of the areas, just having some sort of cover that you can at least get behind as you try to run to the next point trying to get to the objective. But those are the things I think hopefully they'll pay more attention to at launch. Hopefully this Battlefield Lab will give them that needed feedback to make sure things feel right. So when they launch, it's not like a surprise. And then hopefully they can ramp up that Battlefield Lab thing, so that way launch day we're not talking about servers being offline and or waiting in a extra long queue, which is hard for any game of that size to do. But I don't think Call of Duty had that issue on its launch
Well,
day.
to
I
be
don't remember it.
fair, 2042 was the first Battlefield that I didn't have that issue either. It just had a lot of other things. I
Yeah,
remember being amazed at when I on launch day in 2042. I was like, "Wow, I can actually play Battlefield on launch day."
yeah.
But everybody was complaining because the hit detection was off. There was like missing features within just basic things. You know what I mean? But this was
Yeah.
coming off the heels of a disastrous beta that was just glitchy as all hell, except for Pong, who had a magic Xbox and somehow could play the thing with no problem.
Yeah.
For me, I'm seeing like floating T-posing skull face guys. I'm seeing just artifacting and black
I kept dropping in
diamond
the map,
things
and I was
popping
like,
all over the place. Yeah, just crazy stuff. And then the game launched, and it was like a lot of that stuff was gone. But they had
Yeah.
different issues and stuff like with the scoreboard
Like the
things.
leaderboard or
Yeah, the
something
leaderboards,
wasn't
like
there.
people didn't like the class system. Main thing was, which only lasted for a few days, was the hit detection.
Yeah.
Gamers really despise that, and I was like, wow, okay. But I was still having fun playing. I like a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the first one that I didn't have issues getting in at launch. Now maybe
Yeah.
because people were pissed off and there wasn't as much demand. I don't know.
it pissed me off. So
But traditionally,
Yeah.
every Battlefield game before that was
Oh,
always
they've
like,
been terrible.
"Oh, we're surprised by how many people want to play our game. I guess I need to go to fucking Radio Shack and get some more servers." I don't understand the thinking that these developers have when they're surprised by the demand, especially when it's a game
I
like
just because I haven't played a
Battlefield.
Battlefield game on launch. I don't think ever. Like just looking back, like I played the heck out of Bad Company, where I got max rank, and I was just like playing that game every single day. Bad Company 2. Then Battlefield 4, I waited a little bit. I think I played the campaign. I know they got rid of the campaign, so I love campaign. Played the campaign for that one, and then waited a couple months, and then eventually I played the multiplayer. 2042 was like the one where I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna play multiplayer day one, and then that's ended up having crazy experience. So for me, that's why it pissed me off because I haven't really played a day one Battlefield game. But yeah, Mav, you're right. I think historically, I don't think they've had a decent launch. It's usually pretty buggy on launch, and they kink out the bugs over time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's why I wasn't as hard of them at launch this time. Like there was also a lot of controversy because it didn't have a campaign. They're leading up to launch. There's a lot
yeah,
of leading talk about that. So the players that were upset about the other issues, like, well, I can't even play a campaign to wait for these things to be fixed. I remember also there was like the devs had famously requested like 6 months longer, but then like EA is like, you get like 2 weeks. We give you 2 weeks. I remember there was like a small delay, but it was like very small. Maybe it was like 4 weeks or 6 or something.
yeah.
I can't remember what it was. But they asked for like 6 months because they said they desperately needed it, and the EA said no. And then I think they learned their lesson, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it came
Where
out missing features, class system, hit detection, all at launch. Fixed the hit detection very quickly, a couple days. Features started to come in at the seasons, then they changed the class system. Overall, 2042, I think, is a great game, but it was marred by all of this, you know.
yeah.
So we'll see if they
I
can
guess
avoid it.
has it do you know when like Battlefield like let's say 4 came out as opposed to 1, like what was the dev cycle? What is the dev cycle like for most Battlefield games? Do they usually take like 3-4 years? Like
I think it
cuz
was
I'm just wondering.
generally it was like a 3-year cycle, maybe, because you
Okay.
had like 4, you had Hardline,
Oh yeah.
yeah, then you
Hmm.
had Battlefield, uh, 1,
I love
what
Battlefield 1. That was great.
then you had Battlefield, like, was it Battlefield 5, then Battlefield 1? I can't
Yeah.
remember.
No,
No.
Battlefield
There's a V.
1 was before 5. Yeah, it was
Okay,
1, then 5, I think. Or 1, then V.
right. But they
Yeah.
also
It
came
was
out
weird.
within, like, 2 or 3 years for me, like, in sequence, because like, those are all last generation games, right?
Yeah.
I actually liked Hardline a lot. Like it, I had a lot of fun with that. I thought the campaign on that was pretty cool. Yeah, so you had
Oh,
those,
yeah.
and then you had He had 2042, right? Was the
Yeah,
big
I'm just wondering, like the dev cycle from 2042 to now. I'm just wondering if they've taken some time, for to
when did
to
2042
develop this new
launch?
one.
The
Um,
This will
2021?
be 2 years ago. It was it two? Wait,
Was it 2021 or 2022? 2021.
uh,
It was released in
that was
2021.
2042.
Yeah. So
That's
2021, it's
crazy.
been it's
Well,
been a little it's been 3 years and 3 months.
I remember talking about that game on this show.
Yeah.
It's
mhm.
been podcast for
It's
a while.
it's crazy, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So it's been that long, and I think generally before that, like, which was the one? Was it Battlefield 1 was before that, or Battlefield 1 was before it, right?
What if put is Battlefield 4, Hardline, then Battlefield 1, then 5, then 2042.
Battlefield 1 then 5, because those all came out a couple years apart. So okay, and I think different teams worked on some of the different ones and stuff. Like, so you had Hardline release date. We also know that these games take longer than they ever have before. So Hardline
Yeah.
was 2015, and he said 5 was next, right? Battlefield
Uh yeah, he said
game release date 2018, so it's 3 years later.
so about
Battlefield
3 to 4 years.
1 release date 2016. Oh, okay. So you had what? So Battlefield 1 was 2016.
Mhm.
Battlefield Hardline was 2015. So those came out a year apart. March of
Interesting.
2015 to November of 2016. So like a year and a
Yeah, I guess
half
they had
apart.
separate teams
Different
or
teams,
something.
yeah. And then 3 years later, or 2 years later, right? That's what Battlefield 1 release date was 2018.
Mhm.
Um,
So it'll be
yeah,
almost.
2 years between 1 and 5.
Is this one supposed to come out this year or next year? This new Battlefield.
I did. So did y'all catch it? Did they mention it on the video?
No,
I
but
don't
they said they
remember.
would do more updates.
So I think
'Cause-
this is one they're going to like probably have in this program for a while. And when they're confident, they're going to say, okay, here's the release date.
yeah. I just historically, Mav, wanted to see the release dates just to see what the typical dev cycle is for a Battlefield game. To sort of get a gauge of if they
Yeah.
have more time this go around, or if it's like kind of
Yeah. So
similar.
Battlefield 5 being 2018, I think to 2042, which was 2021, was a 3 year gap. But I think it
Mhm.
could have used 4 years. Right. So
Yeah.
let's assume that they should be working on a 4 year cycle. Now, key difference too here is like there's like all these teams just fully focused on Battlefield now, whereas before they were working on different things or like doing this thing. The other thing they announced, which I'm super happy and I was curious if this was going to happen, is that Battlefield Portal is coming back with this game, which I thought was underutilized kind of, but a really cool feature of 2042 where it revitalizes classic maps with you can kind of customize the experience and have this custom battlefield playlist and stuff that you create full of features and weapons and specializations and stuff from past battlefield games if from past battlefield maps. I thought that's awesome to hear that that's coming back because when we played Battlefield 2042 early, we tried quite a bit of that and we had a blast with it, right? So that's coming back, which is awesome. But you have Battlefield Labs, which is kind of like the playtest thing for insiders to give feedback and stuff. And overall, I think now you have these 4 teams that combine to be Battlefield Studios now. And Criterion also said famously today that Need for Speed is basically on the back burner because they're purely focused on Battlefield. So they said it will come back, but these teams are full-fledged, just 100% on board Battlefield right now. And we'll see what they do, man. I think it's going to be interesting with that much dev power. Vince Zampella, the other key factor here, and Vince
Yeah.
I trust, right? He hasn't really steered me wrong to before. I mean, he created Call of Duty. He was
Did he
back
do Titanfall or
Titanfall,
no?
yeah,
Oh yeah, okay.
Apex. Yeah, he was in charge of the Jedi games. He did.
Yeah.
Well, he did steer me wrong at the launch of that motherfucker, Jedi Survivor. And I take it back. Jedi Survivor should not have launched the way it was. Okay.
he
Um,
was he was sick that day.
I
Alex may
will
have forced him to put it out,
I will
kind of
blame
thing.
EA for that again.
Yeah, he
Dude,
sneezed. He's like, "Oh, chew, I
yeah,
release it," and then he's like, "Oh wait,
yeah.
I didn't." Yeah, he messed up.
Back in the day, he was in charge of Medal of Honor before he did Call of Duty when Medal of Honor was still a, a big franchise, right? Um,
Mhm.
they even did a Medal
That's
of
serious.
Honor VR thing that actually ended up winning like a ton of awards recently.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just like in Vince you trust, right? After 2042's launch, they're like, Vince, you're taking over Battlefield. We're sick of getting our asses kicked here, Vince. Take us to the promised land, you know. So this is gonna be
Yeah.
the writing is gonna be on the wall. What happens with it? Now, does that also I think it also possibly means like Titanfall still on the back burner, you know, which would be unfortunate. You know, I think he's fully focused on Battlefield now. So, but yeah,
It'd
man.
be interesting because I remember it was like Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield would have like constant comparisons to Call of Duty, and people would be like, "Look how much better Battlefield is because of the destruction mechanics, some of the gunplay, the sound was better." But I think that conversation kind of died out as Battlefield started getting a little bit buggier, and uh, we'll see what the new conversations are. But I remember it was in that comparison phase with Call of Duty for a while where people was like, maybe Battlefield is better. So overall, like I'm really hyped for this Battlefield. Like I'm my only hope for the Battlefield franchise is that they keep pushing innovation with the destruction that makes it pretty different from the other games and try their best to increase it. Because I feel like in older Battlefield games there's like really good destruction. It was a little bit more creative where it started getting a little bit more um I don't know, I guess like scripted in certain ways, which I didn't mind. Like I kind of thought it was cool when they had like a whole building kind of come down like a skyscraper, and then like there's some scripted moments, but if they can like mix that those map changes with unscripted amazing destruction as well, that's kind of what I'm looking for in the next Battlefield. If they can make the destruction like and I'm already seeing snippets of that in the trailer, just it looks pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it.
Yeah. I mean I love Battlefield. I had fun with 2042, even though a lot of people didn't. Whatever. We had a lot of us had fun playing together, you know, at launch and even so. I've played it off and on for the last few years. I think though that like it's going to take a huge leap with this next one because I think the EA is taking it real serious now. It's like we're not
Yeah.
fucking around anymore. We're gonna come at you. Now they've said this kind of stuff before, but I think this time they mean it. I think this time they mean it. I really do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a sense of hope and excitement around the Battlefield community right now. At least it seems that
Yeah.
way.
I think it's a good time for like hype. Like the
Yeah.
hype is there, I believe. So they can definitely do something special here.
We get to a couple things I missed earlier. Guide Emperor Sofa King member for 18 months said, off topic, crazy week for the NBA.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about it before the show. I was just saying, like Texas is in a interesting spot overall, just giving up Luca and whatnot. But I'm sorry, Mav. I'm sorry.
Don't do trades when you're high. Okay? Nico, general manager for the Mavericks, rule. Take a 24-hour time period, relax, let your system settle, get stabilized, make sure your blood sugar is okay,
Mhm.
everything. Just make sure you're good before you pick up that phone or talk to a friend. How about you use a lifeline, Nico, and phone a friend and say, "Hey, what do you think about if I trade Luka Doncic?"
Like
And when he
I could have
calls
told
you
you
a
that I was
fucking
cracking a joke.
idiot over the phone, you might take a second and be like, okay, I might have to rethink this. You know, use a lifeline, phone a friend, phone anybody, pick up the phone, dial a random number. Should I trade Luca? No.
Yeah.
Anybody would have told you no. Anybody. Is there anybody that would have said yes? That's good.
I
That's a
don't
good
even watch
idea.
basketball like that, and I'm like, "Oh, that seemed like it was a dumb decision. Is it a dumb decision?" And then I looked it up. I'm like, "Yeah, it seemed like it was a dumb decision." It was like confirmed because I'm not really watching basketball like that, but it just seemed weird. It just seemed weird.
It's strange. It's very strange. So what? Luca
Yeah.
likes to eat a cheeseburger every once in a while. Okay. So they say it's because he doesn't like to work out. He's kind of heavy and stuff. Hey, I'll take 40, 20, and 10. Okay? I don't care. He's putting up numbers. Perennial MVP candidate. I could
Yeah.
I could I could like rant on this for like 3 hours.
And Punty said apparently they didn't want to give him the max contract that was
Who
coming
do
up.
you give it to then? Like this what it's for. Like just don't it's the ownership group that took over when Mark Cuban sold the majority stake of the Mavericks
Mhm.
to them. It's a
Good man.
it's they got casino money, the casino family. They're just a business, and they gave Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavericks, like full autonomy and control over personnel decisions. This never would have happened if Mark Cuban was in charge. Um, Luca traded to the Lakers. I mean, if you're gonna
Yeah.
trade him, at least give him to the Clippers.
Yeah, someone who needs some
Like, at
help.
least give
Well,
him
his
to the
yeah.
Nets or like yeah, I know there's other high market areas that maybe he could want to be at. That's not the Lakers. Don't give him to the Knicks, the Lakers, or the Bulls. Okay? Don't ever want to see those. Don't give him to the Thunder because we play them like quite. Don't give him to the Spurs.
Mhm.
You know, you're on mute, Fuzz.
Trade him out of your division. I mean,
Oh yeah. Send him
But
to like the Pistons. Send him
it
like make Dirk Griggity happy. Send him to the Pistons, right? Dirk be like, we got Luca.
was like,
What?
"Yeah,
How the
go
hell?
Luka."
How the hell we pull this off? Find some random ass
I
team.
mean, I will say it will be interesting just to see what his new team dynamics are in the Lakers.
Got
That's
LeBron
about
and
it.
Luca, bro. Like, I don't know
Yeah,
how it's gonna work because they're both like
they're
the
both a star.
orchestrators and like they always have the ball in their hands. Now people said the same thing about Kyrie and Luca when that happened, but like at the same time, the Kyrie's already played second fiddle to somebody else before with LeBron in the past, so it's like he already had experience doing that. Like I don't know, like you don't LeBron doesn't play second fiddle to anybody, you know, and Luca ain't gonna. He doesn't have that in him, so
Yeah,
it's gonna
we'll
be
see.
it's gonna be interesting to see what
And
happens, man.
share the ball,
Hmm. Yeah, it
share
could.
the wealth.
It's I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. E-Rank said it was a great trade depending on perspective. I mean, if you're on the Mav side, it's just a weird trade, in my opinion.
People don't like. Okay, so here's
But
the thing. Could you make a
if you're
case?
Lakers, it's cool.
Could you make a case that this year potentially we could have a better chance to win a championship with if everybody's healthy at the end of the year with the current roster and lineup? You could try and make a case, but even that's arguable because we made the finals last year, right? It's not like, oh, they're so far away. They freaking made the finals last year. They beat every best team in the West to get there. Yeah, the Celtics were on another level when they got to the finals, okay? Now, do you trade what got you there away
I
because you
mean,
think you might have a better chance against that team if you get there? I don't know, but I will say that people that would just look at it from a pure basketball perspective and just only think about the current here and now don't understand the culture of Dallas and the way that the players and the relationship of the fans and what it means to be a fan of the team and the franchise and the culture around it. Like Dallas in general is very supportive of the fan favorite players. Like Dirk Nowitzki was like you might as well put him on a
yeah,
Mount Rushmore here, right?
yeah, yeah,
Luca was already achieving that here, to getting to a level like that because he was embraced the fan base, he embraced the culture. He'd show up wearing Cowboys shit, like cowboy hats and boots, and like he had this custom Camaro that was all Luca'd out that he'd drive around town and stuff, and he embraced Dallas. Always kept saying the things like he wanted to be here his whole career and all these other kind of things. He wanted to be like what Dirk was to Dallas. The fans appreciate over time seeing the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations of a career like that when it's somebody that's fun to watch and you can root for. So that way you have appreciation when they actually make it and they win the championship. It's okay if you don't win every single year, but damn, do you want to root for that team? You want to root for that team. And what they did is they just pulled the fucking heart out of the fan base, pulled the heart out of the organization, pulled the heart out of the Mavericks because Luca was the heart. And now if they win, it won't mean anything like what it would have meant if they won the other way.
yeah. Something tells me that they might win now with being on the Lakers, but I don't know. We'll see.
Lakers are going to love Luca. The fan
Yep,
base in LA is going to love Luca. I'll tell you that right now.
yep,
AD will be here probably for a few years, and the fan will like him a lot, you know. But he wasn't drafted by us, ride with us for the whole career, and have that potential legendary status. You know,
yeah.
don't ever trade a generational player when he's 25 years old.
You know what's crazy? I actually traded him to the Lakers in my 2K thing.
I'm sure you did because you wanted Luca and you were playing as the Lakers.
Yeah, I was playing as the Lakers, and I wanted him on my team. So
You probably had to
maybe
force the
it's your
trade
fault.
too. You probably had to turn off the AI that tells you that it's not going to accept it. So you probably had to turn that off and just do it yourself.
Yeah, I forgot how I did it, but I was like, he's coming on my team.
Because
So
even
maybe
2K would be like, oh, this is stupid. This ain't happening. No, we need more. We need at
yeah,
least 2 first round picks and two great young players. Fuck.
yeah. You know how it has like the rating of like oh there's 80% chance this will happen or whatever. I just remember being like, well, he's gonna come some way or another. So maybe I somehow voodooed this deal.
Yeah. Oh god, could you imagine if
So
the
sorry.
Lakers and the Mavs meet in the playoffs and the Lakers beat the Mavs?
That would be crazy.
If Luca like
I think
hits like
something
a
similar happened.
like or if they sweep the Mavericks or if they like Luca hits like a game winning 3 in like game 7, you know, a half court shot like he can do.
You think he'll take that shot? He's like, mm. You think he'll second guess it
No, Luca
right
don't
before?
second
No,
guess nothing.
he'll
Man.
do it. Okay.
He's cold blooded, bro. Like and
And it can
now
win it.
whatever fire he had, which he already had a lot, is just stoked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's gonna come with a vengeance. He's a savage player, dude.
It's like when
Savage.
LeBron went from Cleveland to Lakers, and then he had to face his old team, and he like wrecked them. That was really satisfying, actually. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. It's like he's got that like Kobe mentality, kind of, you know?
Mm.
It's I don't know, man. It's crazy. Anyway, it happened.
Yep.
So I gotta live with it as a Mavs fan, and we'll figure out what happens in the future. Honestly though, like some people are speculating that they might end up trying to take the Mavericks away and move them to Vegas because the ownership is a Casino Vegas family, right? And there's been talks about an NBA franchise going to Vegas, and this could be like the move to like make the
Just a
fan
jump
base
start.
start to like disassociate with the Mavs a little bit, so we'll burn less. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, anybody. That was my sorry, that was my Luca rant, Mavs rant. Battlefield, looking forward to it, but we have games to look forward to this week as well, including the one we spoke about earlier with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and we'll get looking into those on this episode of All right, this is Tidbits, and we're looking ahead at the games releasing for the week, and we'll see what we got in store.
All right. This first one is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, coming to PS5, Series X and S, and PC this Tuesday for $69.99 on console, $59.99 on Steam.
I intend to wage war, not parley. Everything all right, eh?
This one is the gameplay trailer and not the CGI original trailer that they showed at
Nice.
earlier.
I haven't seen this one.
Will you help us, Henry?
It just looks so good.
And the first one still looks good too. Like I played a little bit of the first one recently, just to like I forgot kind of what's all in this game, and I was like, wow, this actually plays and looks great.
Yeah. How's the combat? Like, what would you compare it to?
Yeah,
Really?
It's a steep learning curve, but once you get it, you get it. It just comes down to angling certain points, like where you want to stab them or slight or swipe at them, kind of thing. But be prepared. Different swords have different weight, so they have like the whole momentum thing, the defense aspect. But bow and arrow was like one of my favorite things because you can shoot those kind of close, but even further away, especially if you're doing hunting and stuff like that. But once you get it, it feels visceral. It's
Not expecting
awesome.
that. Sounds cool.
I actually want to play this game, Rogue Waters.
Yeah, Rogue Waters coming to PS5, Series X and S, and Switch this Tuesday for $29.99. It's on PC currently $17.99.
Tripwire, right?
Weaken the enemy by choosing your targets wisely. With every attack, enemies retreat.
Do I plan on adding or setting up stream commands?
Push into an
What do you mean?
It means like a bot. Then we used to have a bot, but it didn't end very well. I start banning everybody. If that's what you mean.
legendary beasts to
So,
fight alongside you.
let's mean something else. This looks pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah.
It'll be at the bottom of my list because there's too many games, but I do want to try this out.
That's the problem with games like this right now. You're coming out the same
This
week,
game is
the
for
same like
everyone.
month as tons of other big giant stuff.
Every being? Plants are alive too, right?
All right, this next one is While Waiting, coming to
every
Switch and
day.
PC this
Even a
Wednesday for
skeleton, I guess.
$19.99.
I can see this going viral for some reason. This could be like a good game, like while you're working, and it just. That's like
At some point,
very.
I'll pick
Everyone,
this game,
every
but
being,
yeah,
and
it's,
every-
Yeah, honestly, it's very unique.
What are you waiting for?
it has my attention for sure. While waiting. Okay.
Meaningless challenges.
all right. This next one is a sim game, Ambulance Life, a paramedic simulator. PS5, Series X and S, and PC this Thursday for $39.99.
Okay,
Hmm.
let's have a look.
I just bought
One of the
Police
patients seems to be
Simulator.
having trouble breathing. Let's put him in
Um,
the ambulance.
weirdly. I wonder if it's the same
I'll check his
devs,
vitals. Temperature
but
is
it looks
low.
better.
I'll try
than
to
that.
stabilize him so we can take him to the hospital. Dispatch, this is ambulance 152.
But I love
code
simulator
3.
games.
We're on our way to San
Yeah.
Pelicano Hospital with a 35-year-old male patient. Please advise the emergency department of our rapid transport status.
Hurry
Over.
up and get him to the emergency.
There's this one police game where it's basically like GTA, like top down. I thought that was
I found
coming
someone
out
here.
soon,
This
or
one
it
needs
was like
assistance right
in
now.
beta or something like that. If anyone knows in chat what I'm talking about,
Charging to 150 joules.
let me know if it's out.
Everybody, clear.
Ambulance.
That
like-
game looks intense, man. I don't like. I would feel too
Like-
bad if I lost a patient playing that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I
You
can
didn't
handle
put the
it.
oxygen mask on in time. All right, this next one is called Big Helmet Heroes, coming to PS5, Series X and S, Switch, and PC this Thursday for $19.99.
It's like Castle Crashers.
Yeah, Big Helmet Heroes. I mean, I love beat 'em ups. Is this 4-player, Fuzz? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I know it's at least a co-op of
Yeah, I see
two.
two.
I don't.
people.
I think it's only two.
I guess they would have showed 4.
In a world
All right, this next
where
one
rent
is Luck
due
Be a Landlord.
and
Coming to
capital
PS4,
breeds
PS5,
innovation.
Series X and S, as
One
well as
game
Switch.
dares to do
There's supposed to be a Xbox
absolutely
One port,
nothing
but I don't think it's at launch for some
Brace
weird
yourself
reason.
for the exact same gameplay. The
And this is
same
priced at
symbols,
$14.99, coming
the
this Thursday.
same rent anxiety. Now, in
Well,
its
I'm hating
original
the style
form,
so far, but hopefully.
on console.
Okay, it's over. Yeah, I didn't like that.
Capitalism.
Didn't like that one.
All right, this next one is Momodora, Moonlight Farewell, coming to PS5, Series X and S, and Switch for $16.99 this Thursday.
Nice.
Look at those clams.
I would most likely, because I love these type of games, like side scrolling slasher type thing where it's difficult but you can like learn over time. If the upgrade system is dope, then I could see myself playing that. But I don't know.
Moons of Darsalon.
Yeah. I mean, the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and Switch this Thursday for $17.99. Almost, what is that one? The Odd Lots or something? I forget what game it's called, but it's almost like a Lemmings kind of deal.
This is like, it's cool that they're doing like almost PS1 type. Like I think of Oddworld.
Yeah,
Kind
that's
of.
it. Well, yeah.
Yeah. But clearly there's certain things where it would have been way harder to do back then, like how they're doing the ship kind of flying in and stuff being 3D. But very cool visual style. I don't think I've seen this style in a while.
Into Darsalon.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna skip it and forget about it after this show, but it looks super cool.
Yeah, it does look
interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
10 for ages 10 and up.
So
Right,
yeah.
this last one is Under Defeat. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch and PC for $19.99 this Thursday. This definitely has like old school arcade
Yeah.
or like
Shmup.
3D choplifter kind of.
Yeah. Looks cool, man.
I like that song. This is like the song I would play in the menu of like a Marvel vs. Capcom, and then I just keep it on there because I'm like digging the music. Negative Zero says I found that last one charming. Yeah, I like the style. There's just so many games to play. Like if it pops up on sale or something, I'm sure I would actually get that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Cool.
So, yeah, that's it.
All right.
Overall, not a bad week, but it's the flood of games has already begun. So, yeah.
Yeah, it has. Lots of stuff to look forward to here. A lot of those smaller, sometimes the smaller games, I'm like, But this week, a lot of those kind of looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Moons of whatever law.
Barcelona, yeah.
Yeah, that one looked cool. The like the waiting around naked with a leaf on your crotch while you're waiting for your laundry to dry game. I forget what it's called. While you're waiting.
While waiting,
Yeah, that one looks pretty cool. Yeah, there was another one that was like a 2D style.
That slasher one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one looked pretty cool. Yeah, there's some good finds this week, but then also you started off with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Civ 7, is that this week also? Or because I saw reviews for it today, but I don't know if it was on if it's on a release list for this week or not.
I think it is
Yeah.
because it wasn't on.
It wasn't on
then
that
again, the
website.
site I use wasn't accurate with Forspoken. So
Yeah. Damn you, Game or was it Game? What would we use? Game Informer before? Yeah, they've gone now. So,
yeah,
was it Civ 7 as well releases this week? I think Civilization 7. So we'll skip the trailer on it because we don't have to do a whole another activity thing. But when is it coming out? It is.
Zach Riley says Civ 7 is out this week.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the actual date.
If you buy the Big Boy edition.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So is it not?
It's the 11th. 11th is the
Okay.
everybody date, but the
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
deluxe or yeah,
Yeah,
it's early
it'll
access.
be on next week's tidbits because it's not the full release. It's the early access release. Cool. All right. Well, that's it for tidbits, and we'll see the Civ 7 trailer next week, I guess. Everybody, this was fun. I hope you all had a great time hanging out with us. Screw Nico Harrison. 3-bit. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, great show. Everybody in chat, shout out to you. You guys are amazing. You guys can find me on this show every Monday and Pixelated Echoes every Sunday. So that's going to be a great show next Sunday. And it'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So just look out for that. Me and Fuzzy are usually chopping it up. Some great topics. Other than that, I will be gaming most of the week, and I got a lot of work this week. So um some I can't talk about yet, but it's just exciting stuff. So hopefully I can talk about it in the future. And everybody in the chat, you guys are amazing. I can't wait to always talk games with you guys every time we do these. So appreciate y'all, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Right on,
Bye.
man. Appreciate it. And damn it, I forgot this earlier because I went on my Luca tirade from
Yeah.
that one comment, but we did get a $2 super chat earlier as well from Ron G2665. It says,
Heck
"My
yeah, Ron.
opinion, this generation didn't blow me away yet." I think ultimately the days of being blown away might be hit or miss. Like there's gonna be less stuff because the graphics fidelity wise are already so amazing on games and have been for a while that maybe
Wait till the GTA
it'll
6
take like a
release.
GTA 6 or something like very, rare exception kind of game. Like if
Yeah.
you even think about last gen, how much better Red Dead Redemption 2 was than anything else like graphic and fidelity wise and scope and scale, right? But that's like a rare exception kind of game. So I think overall it's gonna be less being blown away and more just like games are
Yeah.
looking better, they're performing better and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and as you get older too, like
yeah.
just a part of it. But
Yeah.
I
Hellblade, I
think
mean
GTA
Hellblade
6
2
will be-
graphically was insane.
Oh yeah,
Indiana Jones
that
is
blew me away.
amazing. Like it's just we're past that day and age of him like, I have never experienced anything like this before. I am fucking melting. What's happening right now? Is this real? I think we're past those days. Fuzzy, tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Well, as always appreciate being on here on Monday nights. Love doing this. Love interacting with the chat. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate it. For my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on social media except Facebook. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. You'll be able to find me. Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, the whole nine. Also, hope to see everybody here Friday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Xbox Ultimate. Definitely hope we'll probably get some more news about that ID at Xbox between now and then. And then, like 3-Bit said, Sunday, 8 p.m. for Pixelated Echoes. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks again.
Right on, broski. Appreciate you. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. We'll be back next on Thursday, or sorry, not next week, on Thursday for PM in the PM at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Friday night, Xbox Ultimate Podcast. We'll see if any other cool stuff happens this week. Hope you enjoy your games. Have a blast because there's tons of them to play. And peace out. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Sure.